Removal of low-quality permanent makeup on the lips using a remover. It's worth leaving it on for about 20 minutes. Well, actually 15 minutes is enough. By lightening the pigment, you draw it up to the surface of the skin. Sodium chloride is just regular table salt. It consists of glycolic and lactic acids. This is a combination of two fruit acids. Unhurriedly and calmly, it lightens this pigment without any inversion. The thing is, Lina has been my client for a very, very long time, and once she came to me for permanent lip makeup, which she had already done before she met me. It's a thick white liquid with not very high pH, so from the area of lower concentration to the area of higher concentration, the pigment we're removing is kind of drawn out as well. It has the ability to penetrate quite deeply into the skin. You are on the Hanafy Colors Pigments channel. I'm Olga Hanafy, and today I will show you the procedures for removing poor quality permanent makeup from the lips using a remover. You have already seen the procedure for removing pigment from eyebrows with our remover. Today we will be working on the lips using a new product from Hanafy acid-based remover. Until recently, Hanafy had two products for removing poor quality permanent makeup, one alkaline remover and an activator for it. Now we are announcing a new product remover number 2. This is an acid-based remover, and today's procedure will combine all three of these products in a single session. Let's take a closer look at these products, how they differ, and what each one is best suited for. Remover number 1 is a mildly alkaline remover. It's a thick white liquid with a relatively low pH, no higher than 8. It's non-traumatic, heals quickly, doesn't cause any discomfort for clients, so it's very convenient to work with. And the aftercare rules are simple, just like after permanent makeup. In other words, there are no serious restrictions on using water and so on. The kind of restrictions we always have with highly alkaline removers with a very high pH. Here, everything is much simpler. What does this remover do? What is it used for? Like all alkaline removers, it has the ability to penetrate quite deeply into the skin. This is a very useful quality when we are removing deeply embedded layers of pigment, old, long-standing permanent makeup, deeply applied permanent makeup, even tattoo cases where the pigment may look very faint, but in reality, the faintness is because the remaining layers are located very deep. So an alkaline remover is able to penetrate deeply and, by lightening the pigment, draw it up toward the surface of the skin. Once the pigment has been brought to the surface, this remover essentially allows us to continue the removal process using whatever methods we consider appropriate. Maybe that will be a laser, or maybe we will continue removing it with the remover, because it draws the pigment to the surface of the skin visually. After healing, the pigment may appear brighter. Both technicians and clients are sometimes alarmed by this. Let's think about this logically. As soon as the pigment rises to the surface of the skin, there are fewer layers of skin between the pigment and our eyes. Accordingly, our eyes perceive this pigment as brighter. And in reality, it's not that there is more of it. Nothing has happened to it. It has simply moved closer to the surface of the skin. The pigment that appears brighter to us shouldn't scare us, because this actually means it will now be much easier to remove, since it is closer to the action of both the remover needle and the laser beam. And over time, this brightness will, of course, fade with subsequent removal sessions. Next, we will be working with our new product, remover number 2. This is an acid-based remover, also not very aggressive, not very strong. Its pH is no less than 3 or 3.5. It consists of glycolic and lactic acids. This combination of two fruit acids makes removal very effective. What is this remover used for? What are its features? It lightens bright pigments very well, That is when we don't need to remove everything down to bare skin, but just need to reduce the intensity of the pigment. In this case, the acid remover works very well on its own. If we use it in a larger procedure together with an alkaline remover, then accordingly it further lightens and removes the pigment that the alkaline remover has brought closer to the surface of the skin. Another important feature of the acid remover is that it promotes skin regeneration. Acid removers are even used as a separate product for working with scars and marks. They are smoothed out with the help of this remover. That is, if we keep in mind that any removal of low quality permanent makeup is quite a lengthy process, there will be several procedures. The skin will be traumatized. Despite the long intervals between procedures, there is still periodic trauma to the skin. And in the future, we hope that a new permanent makeup will follow, and after that, a correction. So the skin will undergo quite a lot of repeated trauma. We would like to help the skin heal properly and comfortably. And the acid remover also helps with this to some extent. I would like to clarify that both remover number 1 and the new remover number 2 can be used separately, each for its own procedure, if that is what the situation requires, if you have made that decision. Of course, this is possible, acceptable, and correct. However, today, we will show you the longest and most extensive procedure in which all the products are used one after another. So the third Hanafy product, which completes the procedure, is the Activator. What is the Activator for? What is it? In fact, the Activator is a highly concentrated solution of sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is ordinary table salt. A highly concentrated saline solution works based on the physical phenomenon of osmosis, meaning it draws something from the area of lower salt concentration into the area of higher salt concentration. In our bodies, saline solution is present at a concentration of 0.9%. This is what's known as a physiological solution. But our Activator is a 10% sodium chloride solution. That's why the pigment we are removing is also drawn from the area of lower concentration to the area of higher concentration. This Activator by itself cannot serve as a remover. On its own, without everything else, it cannot handle the task. However, specifically at the end of the procedure, as an assistant to remover number 1, remover number 2, or both in a single procedure, it further enhances the outcome of the procedure. That's why I definitely recommend having all 3 Hanafy products on hand for removing poor quality permanent makeup. Now, let's move on to the procedure itself. We won't be removing pigment from the entire lips. Of course, not all of the permanent makeup, but only the so-called overdrawn area when pigment has been applied outside the natural lip line. If you want to get more theoretical information about removal with removers, specifically about removal with Hanafy removers, or about removal with both remover and laser, you can find all this detailed information by purchasing my online masterclass. All the necessary links to purchase this product can be found in the description. Well, today we have Lina with us for this procedure, and I want to tell you a little bit about the history of these lips. The thing is, Lina has been my client for a very, very long time. She once came to me for permanent lip makeup, which had already been done before she came to me. And we talked about the fact that, in general, it wasn't done quite correctly. It went beyond the natural lip line. Back then, many years ago, Lina and I decided that we would continue to stick with the shape that was already there. There came a time when Lina requested to have that overdrawn area removed, and as of today, we have done 3 removal sessions with a remover. Today, we're going to do the 4th session. The removal was done using our alkaline remover, our remover number 1, which has been on sale for a long time and which we've been working with successfully. We also performed the procedure with an acid-based remover, a kind of new product that was undergoing testing at the time. The result is very good. And now in this session, we're going to use both products and the activator in one procedure. Let's take a closer look at what exactly we need to remove. Here, the natural shape of the lips is clearly visible. The edge is clearly defined, a physical boundary. And the color boundary is also visible now because we've removed quite a lot. And these overlaps are already very pale. Now we'll apply the preliminary anesthesia. In this particular case, I will use Procaine and apply it under a film for about 15 minutes. During the removal procedure with the remover, we do not apply secondary or intermediate anesthesia. We don't know how it will interact with the chemicals we are working with. And considering that the procedure is, in general, not long, it's certainly not like permanent makeup that takes almost 2 hours, go through the entire procedure using only the primary anesthesia, so it's worth leaving it on a bit longer. I mainly numb only the contour area. On the lower lip as well, because I need to put on my work glasses to carefully examine what kind of work will be needed there. So just in case, I applied there too. Then cover it with plastic wrap. The machine I use for removal is a short stroke one. As for the needle, I recommend working with a 3-prong cluster, a tight 3, just so the needle isn't too thin. Why is that? On one hand, we seem to need to go deeper, and the single needle can obviously penetrate deeper, like a sharp knife into butter. But here, it's actually very important for us to thoroughly and carefully work the entire area, making sure that the cluster of needles covers more skin at once, providing even and consistent results. That's exactly why my choice in this situation is a free round liner, free RLLT, which is particularly well suited for this purpose. Here I'm using a 25 gauge, but you can also work with a 30. It doesn't really matter here. If the area is large, you can use thicker needles. A very small needle protrusion is enough. We're working, so to speak, within a drop of the product we apply, basically, in a little puddle of remover. So we really don't need a long needle protrusion here. All right, the machine is ready to go. Now we need to pour into the caps whatever we're going to work with. The alkaline remover is thick and white. The acid remover is also quite thick, but it's transparent. The activator is just water. We perform procedures with this remover, really, with any remover once every 1.5 months. We try not to do it too often. I don't perform the removal procedure every month. A gap of 1.5 or even 2 months is really the best interval between procedures. You need to let the skin breathe, you need to let it recover. It will still have to endure a lot of stress, both during the removal and I hope during the beautiful permanent makeup procedures that await the client in the future. That's why you need to be gentle with the skin and give it time to rest. On the lower lip, I would only work on this left edge. There is some overlap here, the edge is blurred and it's quite bright. On this side, almost everything is fine. I probably wouldn't touch this area anymore. The main work is on the upper lip. All of this is accompanied by the release of serous fluid, especially on the lips. Of course, everything depends on the individual characteristics of the client. But on the lips, the release of serous fluid is much more common than in the eyebrow area. This, of course, interferes with the procedure physically, but usually it's impossible to avoid this. And most importantly, this is not any kind of violation or mistake. Otherwise, it simply won't work here. Let's move on to the upper lip and do the same thing. You can see that I'm basically just slowly crawling along the surface of the skin, hardly ever actually leaving its surface at all, making very short, extremely dense, and closely packed strokes. I'm keeping an eye on everything, making sure that the needle, along with the solution, gets into every corner of this unwanted pigment. Why do we prefer to remove lip pigment with a remover rather than a laser? I think experienced artists know the answer to this question, but I'll explain it once more. The thing is, titanium dioxide, which is part of lip pigment titanium dioxide, is the white colorant. Also very often red iron oxide, which can also be included since lip pigments are often hybrid and contain both minerals and organics. So these two components, when exposed to laser energy, to a laser beam, can cause what's called color inversion. And this semi-transparent, pale pink residue after laser treatment can and most likely will instantly turn gray-brown. Once this color changes, it will not revert back. It can only be removed, cleaned out of the skin in this gray-brown color. You then clean it out. It does get removed. But not all clients are willing to go through this or to endure it. That's why when the removal industry developed significantly and everyone realized the necessity of having a remover in their toolkit and learned how to use it, it became clear for cases like pigment removal on the lips, it's still better to use a remover because it gently and gradually lightens the pigment without causing any inversions. So I have treated the entire overline on the upper lip, and now I carefully wipe it once again and apply a mask with the same product, the same remover to the treated area for 5 minutes. So 5 minutes have passed. We gently remove this mask, and now we will move on to the second stage. The second pass is done with the same machine, the same needle, but using an acid remover. We perform the same actions. Short, dense, consistent, and thorough strokes across the entire area. Watch closely. After treating with the alkaline remover, it seems like everything has become much lighter. But actually that's not because the pigment has instantly faded. No, it's more of a skin reaction here. That's why we watch carefully so as not to miss anything. We go over exactly the same area and now do the same thing on the top. You need to understand that in terms of pain, the procedure is rather unpleasant. Its advantage in this case is that it's fairly quick. So be understanding, have compassion for your clients, but at the same time, don't break protocol. Don't rush unnecessarily. I've completed the second pass. And now, just like after the first pass, we'll apply a mask from the acid remover to the entire treated area for 5 minutes. When you apply the mask from this remover for the second time, it stings quite a bit on skin that's already been treated with 2 removers. So help your clients. You can use a small fan like this or wave something like a fan to make it easier for them to tolerate. So 5 minutes have passed. We wash off the mask from the skin. Now we're moving on to the third stage, which is the least traumatic and the shortest. We apply a mask from the activator without a machine or needle. You can use removers without the activator as well. It's not a mandatory step, but it's recommended. The results will only be better because of it. We also leave this mask on for 5 minutes. It also stings, but that's just a thought. When performing antiseptic treatment of the skin after removal, the type of antiseptic doesn't matter. Any antiseptic solution can be used here. The main thing is that it shouldn't be alcohol-based, so it doesn't corrode, burn, or further damage the already traumatized skin. So it should be something water-based. In Russia, we recommend chlorhexidine. You can also use hydrogen peroxide. In this case, it's appropriate because we are not concerned about preserving the pigment, which hydrogen peroxide can destroy. On the contrary, here we actually want to get rid of it. So using hydrogen peroxide is also acceptable. That's it. 5 minutes have passed. We gently wipe the area once as well. With that, the procedure is considered complete. Well, that's all. I'm sure this video was useful and informative for you. Please leave your comments. I would also like to say that if you have any questions about our products, about removal methods, about choosing the right removal technique, or about whether to cover up or remove, and if removal, then which method to use, all these huge, vast questions, there may be many of them if you have any. You can ask us in our numerous multilingual chats on Telegram. You can follow the link, join our chats, choose the language you need, and communicate with us there. We are always available and always provide detailed answers to all questions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new helpful videos.